Today, class, we're going to be learning about value. And the first thing that you're going to be making is a value scale. This is a value scale right here. This is a scale that goes from black, all the way over to white. We're going to be making two of them. One will be a gradated or a stepped value scale, and the other one will be a continuous value scale. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is take the paper that you have been given. If you don't have the paper, stop the video for a second and I'll let you pass that out. Okay, so everybody should have their paper by now, and the first thing that I want you to do is to take this paper and fold it in half. You're actually dividing the long axis of it in half. Fold that in half, and then you're going to write your name down on the corner. Alright, let me get this where everybody can see what I'm doing. Okay. So you're going to put your name down here on the corner. Just down there. We're going to use this paper a couple of different ways this year, and so we're only going to be using one side of the paper right now. Then, up near the top, we're going to be drawing a 1 by 8 inch rectangle. And the easiest way to do this is by finding the 8.5 inch mark on your ruler, which is right there, right halfway between 8 and 9. And you're going to put that mark right on the edge of your paper. Okay, I'm working up towards the top of my paper, which is where you should be working too. I'm going to put that 8.5 inch mark right there on the top, right on the edge of the paper, and then I'm going to take my pencil. I'm going to start off at the 8 inch mark and draw a line across, and then go down underneath my ruler and start at the 8 inch mark and draw a line there. Then you can connect up the ends here. Okay, and then we'll draw another one right underneath it, just exactly the same. We need two of them. 8 inch mark here, hold your ruler, draw the underside of it, and connect the ends together. Now this top one, I want to divide up into 8 equal segments. So, let me stop for a second, stop the video if we need to catch up with Mr. Bliss. Okay, so everybody should have two 8.5 inch by 1 inch rectangles. The top one we're going to divide up into 8 equal segments, and to do that you simply put your ruler underneath it, and that at every inch mark you're going to make a mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 marks, 7 lines, 8 1 inch squares. Just like that. Alright, stop the video while everybody catches up. Okay, now, what we're going to do is make our value scale going all the way from white, put a W over the top of the square on the left side, put a B, or for black, over the square on the right side. Then we're going to take our pencil, and this black side, we're going to color this in as black as possible. Alright, while I do this, y'all do the same. We'll stop the video while everybody catches up. Okay, I've got mine done black. Now the next one, the next square that we do is going to be a little bit lighter. Okay, not exactly black, but pretty close to black. And so I'm going to color that one in. And we just continue down my value scale, making each square a little bit lighter than the first one, than the one previous to it. I kind of work back and forth on them. Until the last one is just barely there. And so there you have a value scale going from light to dark. Now this one's a stepped one. It's got 8 steps in it. The one below it, we're going to do a continuous value scale, meaning that it's not going to have any stops in between. And to do this one, you simply start over on the right side with black, and then you just start working your way across, gradually getting lighter and lighter and lighter until you get to white. So you have black on one end, white on the other end. Stop the video while everybody catches up. Okay, now everybody should by this time have both of their value scales done. Now what we're going to do is put that value scale into action. We're actually going to create something. We're going to create a form. We're going to create this sphere right here. Okay, and as you can see, this sphere is actually a value scale. It goes from white here to black there. And then you have the gray going in between. Okay, so you've got a black, then gradually it changed to white. This white area is known as a highlight. The highlight is where the light is hitting your object. Okay, an example of a highlight I can show you on my skull here. Let me zoom out a little bit so that y'all can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the skull here, and if you look at the skull, you can see that where the light's hitting it, there's a highlight, a whiter area, okay, a reflection. And as it goes around the skull, it gradually gets into shadow down here on the bottom. So we've got a lighter area gradually changing to a darker area down here on the bottom. You can see the same thing on my head too. You can see highlights up here on the top, and then gradually underneath my chin, down to my chin, the value changes and it gets darker down here. It's not that my skin actually gets darker, it's just that less light is hitting it as it moves around. Okay, this is also true in other artworks. Okay, if we look at Queen Nefertiti here, we look at the Queen here, okay, and you can see that on this particular sculpture, up here at the top, there's highlights. There's a lighter area, and then as it goes down, it gets darker, and that shows form. Okay, that shows you some form going on in this figure, even though it's flat. I mean, it's flat. The picture of it, because of the shading, because of the changes in value to the colors here, it appears to be rounded. Okay, it also works in the painting in the corner here by Renoir, the two sisters. Okay, if you look at the older sister right there, if you look at her on the left hand side, you can see that the light's hitting her cheek. On her left, our right. Okay, if you look at her cheek, it's lighter. But as it moves around her face, you see the other side of her face is darker. Okay, that value change creates the form of her face and makes it look rounder there. So these are ways that using value changes in art create the shapes, create the forms that, well, make them look real. Okay, so back to our sphere, okay? We're going to draw a sphere here. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so y'all can see me and also so I can get in here. Now, To do that, you simply begin by drawing a circle. Okay, we're drawing a shape first, and then we're going to shade it in to create a form. Now, to shade this in, first off, we have to decide where that highlight area is. I'm just going to kind of rough in a highlight. We're just going to imagine that's there. We're going to erase that later. Okay, and then opposite this highlight is going to be our shadow area. Okay, we're going to have shadows opposite that. Alright, now here's our shadows, and you can see that just by simply doing that, it's starting to make this object look like a form as opposed to a shape. It's starting to give it some dimension. And then I continue with this gradation, because remember we said that this value scale that we're making actually is what creates the form of our shape there. I'm going to continue working around. Notice how I'm using curving lines. Alright, it's important to have the lines follow the contours or the shape of this sphere. Okay, if you do straight lines, it would look like the sphere was flat as opposed to round, but using these curving lines gives the illusion to your viewer that this is actually round. And I'm just going to continue working this value scale, going from dark to light up to the highlight area here. Okay, and you see that really starts to look kind of round there. I'm going to go ahead and erase the highlight that I drew there, just so that I have a nice clean highlight there. Alright, and if you want to, you can add a little bit of a base shadow to it. It's going to kind of be off to one side since the light is shining this way. It's going to come underneath the ball here and kind of come around over to this side like that. And that gives it a nice look of a sphere, and you can see that it does in fact, oops, sorry about that, look round. Alright, we'll stop the tape here, and y'all can continue drawing your circles. We need to collect these at the end of class so that I can take a look at them. See you next week.